Well, thank you for coming out to see me. I'm lucky to be here for many reasons. It's been a tough week. It sounds like a country song. I was broken down in Baton Rouge. Actually, my bus is in Lafayette waiting for parts, and I was supposed to meet my wife here earlier in the week, but I was up there with the bus. We call it the bus, it's a Sprinter. But I could live in it, and I do for many months a year. But she rented a car and rescued me and brought me down here. And after this show, we're going home and waiting for the bus to be ready. I'll fly back. Luckily, it was the last gig of the tour, but luckily I got here. This is the greatest city in the country, no doubt about it. Last time I was here about a year ago, I seriously discussed with my wife moving here. It's not great for acoustic guitar players, but neither is St. Petersburg, Florida. You got to travel to make a living, and I love to. Back in the olden days, before there was a Walgreens and a CVS on every corner, folks out in the country had to wait for a medicine show to come through town and sell cure-alls. Many of these medicine shows had entertainment to attract the crowd before the doctor came out, or the Indian chief. A lot of Indian remedies they sold, too. God knows what was in them. My old friend Pink Anderson told me that he went on the road with C.W. Blair's medicine show in 1916. I worked for him for 22 years. And then he went with C.W. Blair's medicine show. It was a big business. At the end of his life, Pink was working with his buddy, who he worked with for 36 years, Peg Leg Sam. He was a dancer. I actually knew 3 peg-legged men. The most famous peg-legged guy in America, fun facts, I think of his name here, was Peg Leg Bates. And if you go on YouTube and you type in Peg Leg Bates and Ed Sullivan, you see Ed Sullivan comes out and introduces our good friend Peg Leg Bates is going to be here. He's coming out to dance for you. This is his 18th appearance on the Ed Sullivan Show. The Beatles only did it twice. And I was friends with Peg Leg Sam at the end of his life and Pink Anderson. And Pink was retired because he had a stroke and couldn't play anymore and was getting old. But Peg Leg Sam in 68 and 69 was still working with Chief Thundercloud's medicine show. No, they didn't have internet service there. And Pink and Peg decided that I would go out with Peg, and me and Peg could do some of the old routines he used to do with Pink. And I signed on for that, but it never happened. Pink called me up that winter and said, the tour's off. I said, what happened? He said, the chief. I said, what do you mean? He said, his heart attacked him. He's dead. I'm writing a book. It's a slow process. Chapter 37 in the book is going to be a little thing about Chief Thundercloud. I call it Near Brushes with Stardom. I mean, if they could have put in the publicity, I was in the last medicine show, that would have drawn them in worldwide. I wrote this song for all those kind of people that I knew back in the 60s and 70s. I call it Step Right Up. Step right up, use your just got to see the magnificent, magical, mysterious menagerie. That's right, it'll amaze, amuse, arouse, and astound. No doubt the most bodacious show in this here town. Pack up your sorries, kiss away your cares. You won't have to worry no more. If you're tired and run down and life ain't worth living no more, can't hardly drag yourself out of bed like before. You got no health, no. I'm having a senior moment there. I need some medicine. Wait for it to come around. You gotta drink it neat, that's right, it ain't too sweet. Before long you'll be back wanting more. The chief will make you believe the doc ain't there to deceive, and the story that he weaves will relieve you of some of your pain and all of your change, but you'll be glad that you came to the show. Step right up, folks, you just got to see the magnificent, magical, mysterious menagerie. That's right, it'll amaze, amuse, arouse, and astound. No doubt the most bodacious show in this town. Pack up your sorries, kiss away your cares. You won't have to worry no more. On my last CD, I got a hot clarinet player playing on this spot here. I'm going to do the best I can without him. Got a peg-legged dancer and an Indian chief, a blues-singing lady. She got diamonds in her teeth. They got a two-headed turtle. You just got to see it. And they got a chicken that can count to 10. No lie. Follow them down to the free show tonight. You don't want to miss it begin. So step right up. You just got to see the magnificent, magical, mysterious menagerie. Thank you. Thank you very much. Whew. There was another verse to that, but it slipped my memory. It's No Country for Old Men. I'm writing another book. Well, that was already done, wasn't it? I live in St. Pete, Florida, and I've been playing this old-timey kind of music for almost 60 years. It's hard to believe. Hard to believe. St. Pete Blues, the new St. Pete Blues. Ray Charles had a St. Pete Blues in the early 50s. When I met my new wife 30 years ago, I was living on the road in my bus. And when I moved in with her in St. Pete, she took me home and showed me that little cottage. I fell in love. It was a nice little cottage. Hard to get used to living in a house after 17 years living on the road. I still get to do it for 4 or 5 or 6 months a year, which is nice. Get your ups and you get your downs. That's what it takes to make a full go around. I said, hey, hey, baby, mama, you ain't so such much, you know. You know where I'm going? I'm going back down to St. Pete, Florida. Leave all this ranch street cold and snow. Don't look back, mama. You might not like what you see, or you're scheming and you're dreaming, never set your poor heart free. I said, hey, hey, baby, you ain't so such much, you know. Ooh, that's right, I'm going back down south. Leave all that rain, sleet, cold, and snow. Don't ask me no questions, I won't tell you no lies. I'm a hard-pushing papa, mama, and I'm hard to satisfy. Hey, hey, baby, You ain't so such much, you know. You know where I'm going? Back down south. Don't ask me no questions, I won't tell you no lies. I'm a hard-pushing papa and I'm hard to satisfy. Ooh, baby. Don't look back, mama, you might not like what you see. Oh, you're scheming and you're dreaming, never set your poor heart free. Hey, hey, baby. Back to St. Pete. Yes, you get your ups, you get your downs. That's what it takes to make a fool go around. I said, hey, hey, baby. You ain't so such much, you know. That's right, I'm going back down south. Ooh, leave all this rain, sleet, cold, and snow. Thank you. Thank you very much. Sounds, they do a great job on sound in this place. I always look forward to this show. My guitar really likes it. My guitar was made in 1930. That's an old guitar. Always had guitars older than me and wives younger than me. It's my thing. Only had 2 wives, though. It's such a joy to play an old guitar like this. Let's see what I do for you now. There's an old Blind Blake song. Blind Blake was a guitar player from, everybody thought he was from, ended up he was from Virginia. Everybody thought he was from down in Florida and Georgia. He sang a lot of songs about Geechee people, the people that lived on the Outer Banks Islands in Georgia spoke a language called Geechee. Some scholar figured that out. And just a few years ago, Blind Blake's unmarked grave was found in Milwaukee. He recorded for Paramount Records, which was up in Grafton, Wisconsin, and he apparently had a wife in Milwaukee. They found the Afro-American newspaper, they read it online, and there's no secrets, except in politics. But we won't go there. But Blind Blake was a great picker, and he made quite a few records about, during the Depression, this kind of guitar picking was popular among the Afro-American community. And the hillbilly crowd, too. There were a lot of finger pickers in the hillbilly crowd, and they learned from each other. And they even played together. I mean, Bill Monroe was from Kentucky, and his Uncle Penn had one of the first old-timey bands, and had a fiddle player in there named Arnold Schultz, of all things, an Afro-American guy, had 6 fingers on his right hand. And he was an incredible guitar player, and he was the inspiration for people like Merle Travis and that whole school of people. That it's hard to believe, but it's true. And Arnold Schultz never recorded on guitar, but people spoke about him, people that grew up in those hills. I was going to do a Blind Blake song. This was called That'll Never Happen No More. I recorded this back in 71. Met a gal at a cabaret. She said, pretty papa, you're going my way. She was mad to know what it was all about. The girl took me home just to kick me out. She broke my nose, split my chin. Said she did not want me hanging around again. She chased me through the kitchen and into the hall. Beat me with a chair till my head got sore. But that'll never happen no more. What? That'll never happen no more. That's right. That'll never happen no more. Eagle on the dollar said, in God we trust. A woman wants a man, but was $1.65 first. That'll never happen no more. I mean, that'll never happen no more. Lived in Chicago in the winter and fall. Taught me to wear my overalls. I got broke and it was my fault. You know, I was eating pork chops without no salt. I met a sweet little gal. She had a big mink coat, a Cadillac car, and a 40-foot boat. The girl pulled the gun and took my dough. I didn't holler and I didn't get it. I didn't holler and I didn't get sore. But that'll never happen no more. That'll never happen no more. I think there was a skip on the record when I was trying to figure that out. That'll never happen no more. Listen, my mama bought a chicken, then she told it was a duck. Put it on the table with its legs stuck up. That'll never happen no more. Then another skip. That'll never happen no more. Ashes to ashes and dust to dust. Ooh, a man can trust. That'll never happen no more. I said that'll never happen no more. Now listen. Went to a cabaret the other night, got into drinking. I was feeling all right. I lit up a reefer and I smoked some gin. Ooh, I was sitting back waiting for the fun to begin. A sweet little gal come up on me. She said, hey, Roy, Daddy, let's... I woke up next morning in an empty bed. My pockets, they was empty and a pain in my head. Never happen no more. No, that'll never happen no more. That's right. That'll never happen no more. That'll never happen no more. Now listen, I used to dance with a woman that they called Sherry Red. When I got through boogieing, the fool fell dead. Never happened. That'll never happen no more. I mean, that'll never happen no more. Whew, that's a good one. Thank you. Now the first, I was a young fellow in the United States Navy back in 1962, and there was a kid on a ship from Oklahoma City, and he had a guitar and showed me some chords. Now I was a rock and roll kid. I grew up in New York City, and I escaped to join the Navy in '62, and I heard a lot of great music as a kid in New York City back in the '50s. I mean, I saw Buddy Holly and the Crickets 3 times. The third time it wasn't the Crickets, it was Waylon Jennings on guitar, and no, Waylon Jennings was playing bass, and Tommy Alsop, who has a Western Swing band, he was playing lead guitar. And they all claimed they flipped the coin and didn't go on the plane. And my friend John Hammond is close with Dion from Dion and the Bellmans. Dion lives in the Bronx still, and is still married to his high school sweetheart. He's about 84 years old. And he was on that tour. And he claims he flipped the coin. Everybody claims they flipped the coin. I didn't flip the damn coin. Everybody gets the blues sometimes, and this here's a song that was a big hit after the king gave up the throne back then in 1936. I was just in England. I had a gig in the Jersey Channel Islands 2 days after the Queen passed. That was a hairy situation. I didn't sing this song, I figured. Well, tell me, honey, won't you tell me, please? Is my lover hard to please? You know that I'm getting groggy in my knees. Baby, it must be love. Funny feeling oozing up and down my spine, to my head like sherry wine. Well, it makes me think that the world's all mine. Baby, it must be love. I hear them church bells ringing. I see those visions clear. I hear those birdies singing, but there ain't no birdies here. Tell me, honey, what? There ain't no birdies here. Ooh, mama. Tell me, honey, tell me, please. Yes, I'm getting groggy in my knees. Baby, it must be love. I hear them church bells ringing. I see those visions clear. I hear them church bells ringing, but birdies singing, but there ain't no birdies here. Tell me, honey, won't you tell me, please? Is my lover hard to please? You know that I'm getting groggy in my knees. Baby, it must be love, yeah. Tell me, honey, tell me, please. Is my lover hard to please? I'm getting groggy in my knees. Baby, it must be love. You know, it made a preacher put his Bible down. That's right, it made a rabbit want to hug a hound. It made King Edward give up his crown. Baby, it must, baby, it must, baby, it must be love. Thank you. That's a good tune there. That was a big popular hit. A lot of the blues and the country singers picked up on popular music. It might have been by the Andrews Sisters. I don't remember. I wasn't there. Well, I got out of the Navy and folk music was kind of booming in Greenwich Village. And I was going to college on the GI Bill, and I heard these folk singers. Dave Van Ronk was a white guy from Brooklyn. No, he was from Staten Island, I think. One of them places. And he was a great singer, and finger picked the guitar really good. And he had recorded some Gary Davis things, Reverend Gary Davis stuff. And the other, Ramblin' Jack Elliott, you might have heard of him. He just turned 91, I think. I talked to him on the phone a couple of times. I call him about once a month just to keep in touch. He was on tour. He was in Nashville a couple of weeks ago for that big John Prine celebration. Nice. A kid back in 72, 3, 4, worked with a fiddle player, a young kid, 17, 18 years old, Fats Kaplan, and he was in John Prine's band for the last record, five years, and they had the band got together and the family, and organized a John Prine tribute week in Nashville, and I had all kinds of pop stars singing John Prine's song with the original band. The last band that played with him. It has sold out shows at the Grand Ole Opry, and it was a big deal. And Ramblin' Jack was part of that, which was kind of cool. I was in Oklahoma City. I just played at the Woody Guthrie Center there. That was pretty cool. And right next door, they built the Bob Dylan Center, which was really cool. Jack Elliott's first guitar was in the Bob Dylan. They were all very influenced by Woody Guthrie. A lot of Arlo stuff, too. Back in Greenwich Village in 65 or 6 or 7, I forget what it was, Arlo Guthrie, before he recorded, came into the Gaslight Cafe and played Alice's Restaurant. The first time anybody heard it. We never thought it would end, but it was pretty funny. It's pretty damn funny. And the announcer said, that was Arlo Guthrie, Woody Guthrie's son. He's doing his first paid gig in Greenwich Village next week down at Gertie's Folk City down the street. Arlo did pretty good. Anyway, Gary Davis, he sang on the streets of North Carolina and South Carolina. He was born in Greenville, South Carolina, and he was a phenomenal guitar player. He was born blind, and he worked as a kid in a band by Willie Walker, and Sam Brooks had a string band out in Lawrence County, South Carolina, and then he went to Raleigh. That's where the money was, and the tobacco crop got picked. There was a lot of fast money, fast women, and gambling, and all kinds of stuff going on in the fall. It's still pretty good in the fall. A lot of tobacco growing out there. But Gary sang on the streets with his buddy Blind Boy Fuller. The people always ask me how come there were so many blind guys. I don't like to get into politics. It was all about no health care for the poor. That's what that was about. Many of them could have seen the simple operations, but Gary they got discovered. They went up to New York and made records. Gary made one blues record, and he got religion. And New York could do that to you. And he refused to play blues anymore, and he sang for God and Jesus and all that. And then in the 50s, his wife got a job up in New York City and as a domestic worker, and Blind Gary went with her. His old 78 say Blind Gary. That's all it says, but it's Gary Davis. And the folk music world, Woody Guthrie and all them people, Pete Seeger, they knew who he was. He sang on the streets. And when Peter, Paul, and Mary recorded their first album, they put a song on it. They heard him singing about Samson and Delilah. And the lawyers asked him if he wrote it, and he said he couldn't read or write. And they got all excited. And Peter, Paul, and Mary said, put his name down there. He said, well, where'd you get it from? He said, it was revealed to me in the spring of '28. Nobody ever thought a folk music record would sell 4 million copies. His first check was over 10 grand. Never sang on the streets again. And they hooked him up with Manny Greenhill Folklore Productions that managed him, and he started to tour the folk world. He went to Europe, did all those things. There's a little song I made up for Reverend Gary Davis. He gave guitar lessons to kids like me, young men and gals. That for $5 you could go spend an afternoon with Gary Davis. If they were lined up, an hour or so, but they were never lined up. But a lot of people studied with him and mastered his style. I could never master it, but I dropped out of college, gave up the GI Bill, and went on the road with him. I told him I had $50 saved up. I'll go on the road with you. He laughed at me. But he said, you be here tomorrow, we'll do $50. I'll carry you the rest of the way. So I wrote this song. Gary's songs, over the years, many of them were recorded by the Grateful Dead and Hot Tuna, and Dave Alvin and the Blasters, Taj Mahal, Woody Guthrie. A lot of people recorded Gary's songs. This kind of tells his story. Jorma Kaukonen recorded this song a couple of years ago. Called Preacher Picked the Guitar. It's on one of my CDs. I don't have any CDs with me. They're all in the bus. The bus is in Lafayette. If you must have a CD, you go to roybookbinder.com and I'll be home filling the envelopes. Walking down the post office. I'm going to tell you a story about a man I once knew. You know, he was a blind street singing preacher. He played some blues. His fingers picked a guitar. They danced up and down the board. Past his days, he was always singing and waiting on the Lord. Well, the people heard his message and they came from miles around. You know, his pulpit was on the streets up in Harlem and sometimes way downtown. And the preacher picked the guitar. His hands made those magic chords. Passed his days singing and waiting on the Lord. One day the angels heard him sing and thought he should be heard. You know, they opened the ears around the world so he could spread the word. That's right, and his fingers picked the guitar. Danced up and down the board, waiting on the Lord. Well, then he sailed across the ocean to London and to France, thanking Jesus every day for giving him that chance. And the preacher picked the guitar. Waiting on the Lord. One day his voice was quiet as time had come. knew where he was going and where he had just come from. That's right. His fingers picked the guitar and made those magic chords. Past his days, he was always waiting for the Lord. Well, I told you a story about a man I once knew. He was a blind street-singing preacher that played some blues. Fingers picked the guitar, danced up and down the board, passed his days just singing and waiting on the Lord. Thank you. Reverend Davis passed away May 5th, 1972. There's a beautiful book came out written by Ian Zach called The Death Don't Have No Mercy, and on the cover is a quote from Bob Dylan that says that Reverend Gary Davis was one of America's greatest treasures, musical treasures or something like that. Bob Dylan recorded on his first album by Baby Let Me Follow You Down. That was Baby Let Me Lay It On You, recorded by Blind Boy Fuller in 1935. Reverend Davis taught him how to play it. Amazing. And Dylan probably recorded the Candyman blues. He recorded a lot of the cocaine blues. This is a song that got us all started picking the guitar like that. I asked Reverend Davis, I said, when did that song come out? He said, 4. I said, excuse me, when did this song come out? He said, 1904. He said, I was a little blind boy playing in the mud at my grandma's house. She raised me. And a man come by playing the guitar like that. Nobody ever heard anybody playing with their fingers like that in South Carolina. And I said to my grandma, you better get me one of them things. And she did, and here we are. The Carolinas had a lot of this kind of picking. Dave and Rock recorded this. Everybody recorded this. Woody Guthrie recorded it. And Jack got it. Little syncopation just catches your ear. I heard this and I never really wanted to play rock and roll. When I heard this, I knew I was going to do it for the rest of my life. Do anything in this God Almighty world to keep the Candyman home. Candyman, Santa Claus, Candyman, gingerbread man, Candyman, salty dog. If you won't be my Candyman, I won't be a salty dog. Little red light, little green light, little red light, little green light, little red light, little green light. Ooh, hey, stop on red, you go on the green. Don't mess with this damn between. I was down in New Orleans, sitting on a Candyman stand, yeah. Candyman. Reverend Davis played in different styles that fascinated us young guitar players up in the Northeast and the West Coast and everywhere. A lot of this stuff I wanted to learn. Called this buck dance. The country people would do the buck dance to this kind of music. So if anybody here was going to do a buck dance, this is the opportunity right here. Don't do it in the next song. Travis in there because it works. They were very similar. All right. And of course, hanging out with Reverend Davis for a couple of years was a great gift. And I went on after that to have a career. I made my first full-length album in '71. I recorded a few anthology cuts in the '60s. But Mrs. Davis would often get me to drive them up to church up in Harlem, New York. And the first time I got them into church, there was a little storefront church like you see on public TV, you know. And I got the car parked, and I'm sitting in the back there. And the church business is going on there. Mrs. Davis got up there. They called her Mother Davis by then. She was getting old. And she introduced the guest preacher come in from New Jersey on the subway train under the river. Got a few amens and a hand clap, you know. And he preached for a while. It went down pretty good. And then a friend, Sister Louise, got up and read a poem for the baby Jesus. About 12 minutes. I was timing everything. And after about 2.5 hours of this church thing going on, I decided to go out and smoke a cigarette. But I figured 1960, whatever it was, 67, 66, I figured I was safer in there with the Lord, you know. 135th Street, so I hold my ground. Then she called on Brother Davis, as we called him in the church. She called him B. Davis, so she called him B, so I started calling him B. And B got up there, and if he didn't have a direct hookup to God, he wouldn't preach. He was a spontaneous preacher. He used to discuss it with people that you can't go to college to be a preacher. You know, you write something on Monday, it might not hold true by next Sunday. And I'm going, yeah, I get it. But he had a bad connection that day, so he called for his big Gibson guitar, and he hit some fiery Christian songs out there. The place was going wild. One woman fainted. No lie. And after that calmed down, a few more things happened. Then she gets up there, Mother Davis, and she says, our good friend Roy Bookbinder is with us today. And everybody turned around and looked at the white boy. I give him the peace sign, you know, it was 66. And she says, what would you like to do for us today? Well, without even thinking, I said, I drove you all here. I got a few amens and a hand clap. She said, come up here. You come up here and sing one of your nice songs B. Davis taught you. I said, I didn't bring my guitar. She said, you use B. Davis's guitar. She said, give me that look to make blind Gary come out of a chair. My heart was beating so fast I thought I wouldn't make it. And Reverend Davis was laughing. He handed me his guitar, and I lit into this song. It was one of my favorite Christian songs that was revealed to him. Great guitar part. Oh, yeah. Well, I know something that is mighty sweet. It's a sweet little story that I love. Jesus saved my soul from hell. Glory, hallelujah. Whoa, glory, how happy I am. Oh, glory, how happy I am. My soul been washed in the blood of the Lamb. Glory, hallelujah. When I was blind and I could not see, Jesus come and he rescued me, saved my soul from misery. Glory, hallelujah. Well, I'm fire baptized and I'm Holy Ghost filled. I'm out here to do my master's will. I got to keep moving, I can't be still. I said, glory, hallelujah. Get back, Satan, get out of my way. I don't want to hear them evil words you say. I'm on my way to the kingdom land. That's right, glory, hallelujah. When I was blind and I could not see, you know that Jesus come and he rescued me, saved my soul from sin and misery. Glory, hallelujah. Oh, glory, hallelujah. Oh, glory. My soul been washed in the glory, hallelujah. hallelujah. Oh, glory, hallelujah. Glory, hallelujah. Soul been washed in the blood of the Lamb. I said, glory, hallelujah. Yep, some people leaving. I know. Tuna made up the latest album. The latest album is 10 years old. It's really good, though. It was the album I always was meant to make, I think. I wrote all the tunes, and I don't write a lot of tunes, but they were pretty damn good. And I recorded with a hot clarinet player and a stand-up bass player and a little bit of percussion on there, light percussion. And then I got this friend down in Florida. We recorded in Florida, Damon Fowler. He's a big-time, young electric guitar blues guy, writes and plays, doing very nicely. He often goes on the road opening up for George Thorogood. That's a pretty big audience, and he's doing really big. And his second instrument is playing lap steel guitar. And, of course, New Orleans had my dear friend Spencer Boren, who passed away a few years ago, was a great lap steel player. And my friend Robert Eustace, he used to ran a guitar workshop with Spencer in town here, and after Spencer passed, the guys still come down. They're down this weekend, coming down tomorrow, I guess, today, and they're going to have their guitar get-together. Be a lot of Spencer talk. He was a great fella. But anyway, I asked Damon Fowler, I said, well, what would it take to get you to come down to the studio and record add a little lap steel on some of my tunes? He said, you tell me how much I have to pay and I'll be there. I said, come on down. So that's a good record. The name of the album is The Good Book, and I'll do that song a little later. And this one here is on there. This is called It Could Have Been Worse, and I've had that kind of a couple of weeks. And it could have been. I might not have made it to New Orleans. A lot of that old-time picking. Well, my good gal left with another man. I won't be missing her raising saying she ain't good looking, don't dress fine, a girl can't cook and she's always lying. Could have been worse, they say. Could have been worse, you know. Could have been worse, just wait. Yeah, it could have been worse, you'll see. Could have been worse, they say. Could have been worse, you know. Could have been worse, just wait, that's right. It could have been worse, you'll see. Her mama don't like me, she told me so. In my business, she sticks her nose. She'll pop in, doesn't have a clue. Catch us doing the jippity-doo. Well, it could have been worse, they say. Could have been worse, you know. Could have been worse, just wait, that's right. It could have been worse, you'll see. Oh, yeah. Could have been worse, they say. Could have been worse, you know. Could have been worse, just wait, that's right. It could have been worse, you'll see. Now she's telling stories on all her friends. Who's doing who to what, where, and when. Can't keep her mouth shut, that's for sure. If she hears some trash, she just wants some more. Could have been worse, they say. Could have been worse, you know. Could have been worse, just wait, shucks. Could have been worse. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I'll do your tune now by Blind Boy Fuller. Blind Boy Fuller was Reverend Gary Davis's friend. They went to New York together, and then Blind Boy Fuller became an overnight sensation. He sold a lot of records, and then he drank himself to death about 4 years later. He had a heck of a good time, they say. Called this Rag Mama. Well, I'm going uptown with my hat in my hand. I'm looking for a woman that's looking for a man, like looking for a needle lost in the sand. Come on, baby, and do that rag. Better rag mama. Ooh, rag mama. You better rag mama. I said, come on, girl, let's do that rag. Mama bought a chicken that she told her was a house. Put it on the table with his legs up. Here comes sis with a spoon and glass, dishing out the gravy from his yes, yes, yes. Rag mama. Rag mama. Ooh, rag. Two old ladies were laying in the sand. One said, Mama, I wish you was a man. Look here, girl, stop raising sand. Turn on over with rag mama. You better rag mama. Ooh, rag mama. Come on, baby, and do that rag. Two old ladies laying in the sand. Oh, well. I said, rag mama. You better rag mama. Rag mama. Jumpy little tune. Ooh, mama. Yeah, mama bought a chicken and she thought it was a duck. Like I said, put it on the table with his legs stuck up. In comes sister with a spoon and glass, dishing out the gravy from us. Yes, yes, yes. Rag mama. You better rag mama. Come on and rag mama. Used to dance with a gal that called Sherry Red. Got through boogie and the fool fell dead. I like that verse. Come on, baby, and do that rag. Do that rag. Ooh. And then there's the old murder ballad. There was a gal named Delia down in Savannah, they say, and she got murdered in 04 or 06. And sometimes things happen that catch on and people write songs about it, and it was in the newspaper and people get all huffed up about it. She was a 13-year-old young lady. Some people said she was a prostitute, but it's been questioned. And her 14-year-old boyfriend killed her, and it was all. Some guy wrote a doctoral thesis on Delia. I thought it was a little much, but I didn't read the whole thing. But there's so many versions of this song. The first one I ever heard was recorded. The earliest one is in like 1928. Blind Willie McChell from Georgia, who played the 12-string guitar, phenomenal, unique style, the land of 12-string guys. There's a young guy named Todd Albright who records for Third Man Records that plays in that old Atlanta 12-string style. He's got one of them big old Stella guitars that tune it up to, they tune it way down low, and long strings, you could wail on that thing. And Blind Willie McChell's most famous song, the Allman Brothers did the Statesboro Blues. They changed it a little bit. But he recorded Delia, and my friend Stefan Grossman was hanging out with Gary Davis while I was over in my military days. They say, what did you do when you were in the Navy? That was the war was on in Vietnam. I said, well, I'm not going to apologize. I terrorized Italian villages. My ship was in the Mediterranean. Lucky me. But Stefan asked Gary Davis if he ever heard anything about Delia, and he came up with this little version. Johnny Cash, one of his last albums on American Recordings, he did a version of Delia's Gone, solo. Imagine that, solo. A lot of people recorded Delia's Gone. If you went to the Bahamas in the 50s, when the planes landed, they were greeted by a guy named Blind Blake, not the guitar player. He had a calypso band, and he had a version of Delia's Gone. But it's an interesting story. Sad story. Delia was a gambler, gambled all around. Delia was a gambling girl, but you know she laid her money down. She's all I got, gone. Delia, Delia, how could it be? You wanted all of those gambling men, but you never had no time for me. She's all I got in this world and gone. Delia's mama wept, Delia's daddy moaned. Delia's mama took a trip out west. When she returned, poor Delia had been put to rest. She's all I got, gone. Men in Atlanta trying to pass for white. Delia, my darling, she's in the graveyard. Lord have mercy, the girl's 6 feet out of sight. She's all I got, gone. Delia, Delia, how could it be? You wanted all those gambling men, but you never had no time for me. She's all I got in this world and gone. Thank you. Sometimes we tune this E string down to a D. You get a nice little. Blind Willie McTell did the States World Blues like that. This is a tune I made up a number of years ago, and I call it Another Man Done a Full Go Round, and it was recorded by Jorma Kaukonen about 4 years ago. And this spring, I heard that he recorded it with Tommy Emmanuel. You heard of Tommy Emmanuel, the world's greatest acoustic guitar player. He's impressive. He's a really swell guy, and I met him at Jorma Kaukonen's guitar camp where we teach guitar. And Jorma called me up from Nashville a couple of years ago, and he said, I said, what's happening? And he said, I'm in Nashville recording with Tommy. I said, oh, what's that about? He said, he's doing an album with friends. I said, oh? He laughed. And I said, and how's that going? He said, it's going good. I played him 4 songs, and he chose 2, and one of them was your song, Full Go Round. I said, wow, what are you gonna? He said, oh, it's already cut. And we sang a duet, and it just did 2 guitars. That's the way he wanted it to be, no other instruments. I said, wow, I was pretty excited about that. I put it on my Facebook page. And a year later, the record came out, and my song wasn't on it. I was so disappointed, That's going to be in my book, chapter 49, Near Brushes with Stardom. But I'm all my Facebook friends, and I got you can only have like 1 million, and I've reached the max on that website, so I got other ones. But I said the fans sympathized. It was like condolence calls. They said, "Oh well, at least he liked it." Oh well, that's show business. Oh, what can you do? Shit happens. And there was about 20 comments, and the bottom, one guy said, maybe it'd be a volume 2. And I thought, well, that was sweet to say, you know. And I was going to bed that night thinking about that. And I said, I wonder who that was. I got up and put my computer on, a bathrobe, you know. And I Googled the guy who made that comment. He was the producer of the session. And I eagerly waited for the last 3 years for volume 2 to come out. And this summer, Jorma Kaukonen and his wife, Vanessa, God bless her, she called me up and she said, your song's coming out in the spring of 23. I called up my wife. I said, that's it, babe. We're paving the driveway. I mean, Jorma sold pretty good with my song, but he talks about it a lot, so that's the big plus. And Tommy's a sweet guy. I saw him after they recorded it. We were at Merle Fest, you know, Doc Watson, Merle Watson. And Tommy got off the shuttle bus, and he saw me, and he'd come over like this and give me a hug, singing Full Go Around. I said, whoa. He said, send me more songs. So I sent him every song I ever wrote. You never know. But this one here, I'm looking forward to hearing them do it. And that's the greatest honor you can have when somebody records something you wrote. Put him in the ground 6 feet down till you hear that coughing sound. You can weep and you can moan, but that old boy ain't never coming home. You know another man done a full go round. Another man done a full go round. Yes, we can tell our tales, we can laugh and joke, or we can ponder all day about the words he spoke. You can't run and you can't hide when death come creeping up by your side. That's right, another man done a full go round. About this or worrying about that, taking out the dog or letting in the cat. You can eat your biscuits and no shucks. Another man done a full go round. That's right. Taking out the dog or letting in the cat. Eat your biscuits and gravy, smoke and drink, 'cause it ain't gonna matter. Nobody thinks another man done a full go round. Another man done a full go round. Yeah, put him in the ground 6 feet down. Do you hear that? You can weep and you can moan, but that old boy ain't never coming home. Another man done a full go round. Thank you so much. Thank you very much. The encore is the most good part of show business. I usually tell people when I'm about to finish up, they say, this is the encore, but this is the encore. It's real awkward. Some people say, like, oh my God, he's going to do another one. Other people are putting their coats on. And to put that responsibility on me, who has led such a carefree life, being a folk singer, I can't handle it. The worst is when you're at a festival. I always tell the guys right out front, the announcer, I said, none of that give it up shit when I walk off the stage. Please. Again, many thanks to all involved with the Jazz Museum in New Orleans and the sound crew. It's the best. One of my highlights of my career was back in '84 when I played Jazz Fest. Never got asked back, but that's okay. It was a great time, and I was very excited. And I was hanging out with these college kids that went to Tulane or whatever it's called, and I had my little bus parked in their driveway, and they all came down, and I had my bus parked next to the B.B. King's bus or something. It was good because I was hot and it was a shadow. And I had a beautiful spot on the schedule. I was on like stage 4 at 5 o'clock. It was like, whoa, that's a great spot. People were telling me, oh, yeah, good spot, good spot. I did my sound check, and the college kids were sitting on a blanket, 8 of them, with crawdads and beer. And when I started, the sound man left. Stage 1 was Jerry Lee Lewis. Stage 2 was the Neville Brothers. Stage 3 was James Booker. I mean, I wouldn't have been there. But my refrigerator is very proud to have that backstage pass on it. Still. And then I did get a call from Quint Davis 2 years later, and he invited me to play they were going to have the first Orlando Cool Jazz Festival, and the whole thing, whatever they call it. And he's telling me about it. Oh, we got Dizzy Gillespie booked and Tammy Wynette. It's going to be very different. And I said, and why are you telling me this? He said, because you live in Florida. We've got to have you. I said, whoa. He said, what'll it take? I said, $2,000. He said, I'm going to offer you one. You can say, thank you very much, Mr. Davis. I said, yeah, thank you very much, Mr. Davis. So I did it. And I was on between Tammy Wynette and Dizzy Gillespie. There's only one stage, so wasn't much of a crowd. It was a real hot, humid day. It was in June. Wrong thing to do. They never had another one. And I did a bang-up set. I usually do. And I walked off the stage, and the stage manager said, could you forego the encore? He said, Diz really wants to get it over with. So I looked over there, and Diz is, the classic pose with the trumpet thing. And he looks at me, and I looked at him, and he nodded and gave me a thumbs up, and I forego me. So that was pretty cool. That's why Dizzy, it's going to be a short chapter of my book, the Dizzy Gillespie part. Worth mentioning, though. I've had a great time here, and I thank you very much. And I'm going to close out with my song, The Good Book. I wish I could have sung this for Gary Davis and Mother Davis, but I got all his chords in there, the big chords. Told me to. The good book's got the answers, you know that it will tell you what to do. The good book's got the answers, you just wait and see. The good book's got the answer there for you and me. You better learn to sing and dance, work and play real hard. Watch your step on your way to your journey to the stars. Don't you be a cheater, don't be telling lies. Straight and narrow path you're on will lead you to the prize. Now be good to the children, the old and feeble too. Don't be doing to others what you don't want done to you. Mind your own business, keep singing this happy song. The soldier in God's army always knows what's right from wrong. Yes, my mama told me, my papa told me too. Good book's got the answers, that's right, tell you what to do. Good book's got the answers, you just wait and see. don't be one what's not yours. Give thanks, you got a lot. You ain't never gonna miss what you don't have or get from them that's got. Fussing and a fighting, you know that it's not the righteous way. You just best be quiet if you got nothing good to say. Yes, my mama told me, Papa told me too. The good book's got the answers, that's right. Tell you what to do.